It's not just any night at the ballpark, it's a bobblehead night. Always big when you can have the collectible along with the ball game, and that means long lines outside the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. Ready to claim Curtis Granderson bobbleheads tonight, joining the generations. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Phillies. It was just over a year ago that the Mets acquired Dilson Herrera in the trade that sent Marlon Byrd to the Pittsburgh Pirates. We talked about Herrera last night. Tonight is Marlon Byrd's 37th birthday, so we figured we'd talk about Marlon, who's here with the Phillies, and at age 36, now turning 37, is having himself another terrific year.
Well, you see his numbers from last year, the 88 RBIs and 24 home runs. That was he was traded late in the season to the Pirates, as Gary said. But for the Mets in 117 games, he had 21 home runs and 71 RBIs. I think it's pretty obvious to say Marlon was in the Mexican League 2 years ago. He was invited to camp with a minor league contract. What great comeback year for him, and then going on to the Pirates that helped them in their playoff push, and now this year with the Phillies. I think he can hit a little bit.
He certainly can, and he's helped the Phillies this year despite their difficult season. The pitcher for the Mets tonight is Bartolo Colon, and Colon is in a rough part of his life personally with the passing of his mom. He was at her funeral on Thursday in the Dominican, but he flew to Los Angeles after her death, pitched a terrific game against the Dodgers, and he's back again tonight.
Well, he's a professional, and it was an emotional game for him to pitch in Los Angeles, obviously, and he pitched a fine ball game, and I think the players responded to him. They scored 11 runs on a road trip where the Mets could not score runs. They got 11 and made it really an easy cakewalk for him. This is his 9th career start against the Phillies, 4-2 lifetime. He's just been solid all up and down, looking for his 13th win.
Meanwhile, journeyman right-hander Jerome Williams, with his 3rd different major league team this year, has gotten off to a very hot start as a Philly.
Well, he started out in Houston, got released, was 1-4 there. They went to Texas, was picked up by Texas, went 1-1, DFA'd there. Philly picks him up in 3 starts. He's 2-0 with a 1.77. He's a big guy. He was a former first-round draft pick by the Giants back in 1999. His best season was in 04 with the Giants, where he went 10-7.
So on Curtis Granderson bobblehead night, the Mets and Phillies renew their rivalry. All the action is coming your way tonight right here on Pix 11. hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV. Redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, the annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. And by Nissan, get to Nissan's bottom line event today. Shop ChooseNissan.com. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Keys to the game brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retailer.
Well, we got some TV shows, a few I haven't seen, Philadelphia related. So how cool is that? The new Fresh Prince, 2-0. We mentioned that on the open. Ryan Howard really having a tough time with his top Mets pitching staff. And the Mets, we know, have been murdering the Phillies in Philadelphia.
You know, the Fresh Prince was from West Philly.
Oh, well, okay.
He became the Fresh Prince of L.A.
I don't know where you're going with
And it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
Let's go to break.
Only one change in the lineup for Ryan Sandberg tonight. He puts Dominic Brown in left field instead of Grady Sizemore, who had the key drop in last night's game. So it's that veteran Philly lineup against the veteran Mets right-hander Bartolo Colon.
Well, Bartolo going for his 13th. Tough time for him, as we mentioned, with the passing of his mother. More hits than innings pitched, but look at the walks. He is just such a fine pinpoint thrower, very intelligent pitcher. Obviously, 200 wins collected this year. And we'll look at the defense, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Den Decker in the lineup again. This is the outfield that's been pretty consistent against right-hand pitching. Flores at shortstop. Dilson Herrera, his second start, went 0 for 3 last night, but he impressed me. I like the way he swung the bat. Darno got an RBI single last night. He continues his hitting, doing the job.
You stayed ahead of the curve on that defense reveal the entire way.
It took me long enough to get it. I got to start reading it quick.
Colon will be facing the Phillies for the 4th time this season, and he has dominated them so far this year. He's 3-0, 1.59 in his 3 starts against Philadelphia. And he'll try and keep that run going tonight. Ben Revere will lead things off for the Phillies. Mets have now won 12 and lost 5 against Philadelphia this year. The Mets have pulled even against the National League East, 29 and 29. They've struggled against the other 3 teams, but the Phillies have been their whipping boys so far this year. And it has not been ever thus. But the last 3 seasons, the Mets have had better and better results as the Phillies' fortunes have faded.
Changing of the guard can't go on forever. Athletes get old. They need to be replaced at some point.
Ben Revere, third in the National League and batting at .308. First pitch of the night from Cologne is up and away, and we're underway. Revere, Rollins, and Utley against Cologne in the opening inning. Revere went 0 for 4 last night in the series opener. And Cologne throws a strike, 1-1. Bartolo now 12-10 on the year, 3-0 against the Phillies. Has gone at least 7 innings in all 3 starts against Philadelphia. And Revere slaps one to short. Flores waits on it and throws out the speedy Revere with room to spare for the first out of the night.
Well, a left-handed lineup up against Bartolo, whose pitches, I think, has more in his arsenal against left-handers. He's got the changeup. He knows how to pitch away, pitch in, up in the strike zone, down in the strike zone. He's a real cagey pitcher. I love to watch him pitch and how he works the hitters.
And that's reflected in the numbers. The lefties are hitting .249 against Cologne. The righties .273 this year. Jimmy Rollins bluffs a bunt with David Wright playing back.
There you go.
Takes ball 1. You see the splits. Rollins went 0 for 4 last night. 4 hits shy of 2,300 for his career, more than any Philly in history. Also the Phil's all-time leader in doubles, 477 doubles in Rollins' terrific career. Chase Utley waits on deck. And Cologne gets a strike, 2-1. Pulled foul just outside first, 2-2. Well, the veteran Dana DeMuth is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Ron Culpa and Hickox and Lance Barrett rounding out the crew. Barrett had the plate last night. Cologne leading the National League in fewest walks per 9 innings, just 1.2 walks per 9. Amazing. Rollins pops one up. Dilson Herrera takes charge of it. And that's the second out. So the 20-year-old Herrera, the youngest player in the major leagues, catching a pop-up for Cologne, who is 21 years older than Mr. Herrera.
Yes. It's always nice to see the youngsters come up, and I'm have a very good feeling about the young man at second base.
So the Mets tonight with Herrera and Cologne, they run the gamut. Decade after decade. Here's Chase Utley, 2 for 4 last night, and he takes ball 1. Utley hitting at .281, having his healthiest season in ages, just shy of 500 at bats for the season. And that in and of itself is a big victory for Utley, who's had such problems staying on the field the last few years. He lifts one out to Lagares territory, and that retires the side. Cologne sets him down 1-2-3, and the Mets come to bat against Jerome Williams when we come back. Let's go places. Second big league start for Dilson Herrera, who made his debut last night, as the Mets throw out the same lineup that they used last night in their 4-1 victory. Tonight facing Jerome Williams for the first time since 2007.
And he's got a pink glove there in his 2 starts. You can see that's his record with the 3 ball clubs this year. But 2-0 in 3 starts with the Phillies. Sinker, slider, nothing horribly overpowering. It's a sinker, slider, changeup.
Keith mentioned the pink glove, and we'll get back to that in just a moment.
And we'll look at the defense, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% in your car insurance. And Dominic Brown in the lineup in left field. He's had a very disappointing season for the Phils. Cody Ashe playing every day, hitting .245, hasn't really lived up to his billing.
Juan Lagares leads off, takes a strike from Williams. Lagares 1 for 4 last night, hitting a .278 for the year. Lagares, Granderson, and Wright trying to get the Mets off on the right foot tonight. And Williams throws a sinker, and it's slapped right at Utley. And Lagares retired for the first out. Well, Keith mentioned the pink glove that Jerome Williams wears, and this is something that Jerome unfortunately has in common with Bartolo Colon. He lost his mom to breast cancer. In fact, it was shortly after he signed with the Giants, but before he came to the major leagues. And he has always wanted to honor his mom. He used to wear a puka shell necklace. He was born and raised in Hawaii. That was in honor of his mom, but now wears the pink glove in her memory.
Very nice.
Special dispensation from Major League Baseball to allow him to wear that pink glove.
Well, it's not anything that's going to impair the hitter's advantage as far as picking the ball up.
Granderson 0 for 4 last night, down to .216 for the year. It is somewhat axiomatic in baseball that when players have their bobblehead night, something good happens for them. Let's see if that works for Curtis, who could use something working in his direction.
Well, he's had a tough second half, Gare, that's for sure, and his average is reflective of that.
Well, we always look at players in their head-to-head matchups as David Wright waits on deck. Curtis Granderson 1 for 5 with a home run against Jerome Williams. And it's lined, and Utley goes high to get it, and that's the second out.
Well, he got the big shift on, and he hits right into the shift. Curtis, who, when he first came up, was really not a dead pull hitter. And I think going to Yankee Stadium, we hit the 40 home runs 2 years in a row, that short porch, and we've seen enough of that short porch. That is the shortest porch I've ever seen in my major league career, Yankee Stadium, with the new stadium. And I'm not diminishing in the 40 home runs. I mean, that's not, I don't care what ballpark you play in. But he's turned into a dead pull hitter from those 2 years with the Yanks, 2.5 years, 3 years actually.
Well, Granderson, when he first came up with the Tigers, was a guy who hit 300, got a lot of triples, the occasional home run. 1-1 to Wright. David won 1 for 4 last night.
Another guy is Lucas, having a terrific year, breakout year.
And David chases the pitch off the plate, and it's 1-2. And right now, he is not reaching that outside pitch.
No, and that was a ball, so he can't hit that. He just has really had a tough second half. And they come inside just to show. And you wonder if there's a shoulder issue. He says there's not. I mean, it's nothing new, this story.
2-2 from Jerome Williams, and Wright pokes one foul. David is the only other Met in the lineup who's ever faced Jerome Williams before. That was back when Williams was briefly a Washington National. David had a couple of at-bats against him. Williams now with his 7th big league team, his 3rd this season. He began the season pitching for Houston. And Wright tries to stop on the cutter, and he stopped it in time. 3-2. Well, David, with his struggles this year, has seen his career batting average drop below 300 for the first time since very early in his career. 3-2 with 2 out, and that's just off the plate, ball 4, and Wright draws a 2-out walk. So the first base runner of the night for either side. Williams was working in relief for Houston when the year began, 26 relief outings. They released him. His ERA was over 6 for the Astros. Then the Rangers picked him up. He made 2 starts, 1 very good and 1 very bad, and then they put him, designated him for assignment. The Phillies picked him up, and he's been tremendous for Philadelphia in the 3 starts he's made. The last time out against the Cardinals, went 8 very good innings, allowed just a run on 5 hits.
Well, Larry Anderson, who does the radio for the Phillies, also relief pitcher for the Astros and the Phillies in my era, came in and mentioned that he said the reason for his success has been that he's been pitching in a little bit differently. The catchers call a different game here. I'll elaborate. He said he never threw change-ups on the inside corner to hitters, always away. Phillies want you to do that. He never threw a right-hander front door slider on the inside corner, always away, and the Phillies want him to do that. So it's been successful for him. We'll see how long it goes with it. It's only 3 starts.
He's behind on Duda, 2-0. And Lucas takes a fastball for a strike. Duda just 1 for 15 on the homestand after a terrific road trip in California.
He's a lifetime 46 and 52 pitcher. So sub 500 pitcher for his career, 9 years.
And the changeup up and away, 3-1. Well, Williams was a first-round draft pick by the Giants back in '99. Made his debut with San Francisco in '03, and by just about all measures, his first year in '03 and his subsequent year in '04 were the best of his career, and he has really kicked around since then. He pitched in Taiwan in 2010. A couple of times he's pitched in independent leagues. Went to the Mexican League, so he's been everywhere. And now 32 years old and trying to make a home for himself in Philly. 3-1 coming to Duda with 2 down. And he hits it out to center field. Revere chases it toward left center and avoids Brown and makes the catch. Revere had that ball all the way, and Brown was merely window dressing. A walk and 1 left. I got it. I got it. Stay away. No score after 1. Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Things bustling. Midtown on a Saturday night.
That's a great shot right
there.
there.
SNY studios.
You get the sense of all that energy that New York, Manhattan provides.
Labor Day weekend, it's mostly tourists. Ryan Howard breaks his bat. Colon gets out of the way of the bat. Flores makes the play on Howard. 1 bat destroyed, 1 pitch, and 1 out.
You know, when I played, Garrett, for the Metsies, and I lived in Manhattan, and here's the pitch away off the end of the bat. I enjoyed, I couldn't go out to the Hamptons or out to the Jersey Shore, or the Poconos on holidays. We're playing. We're part of the summer fun.
There are no holidays in baseball.
Right. But I always loved those weekends, holiday weekends, because the city was empty. And there were still plenty of people around. But it was much more peaceful and quiet Manhattan.
Here's Marlon Byrd celebrating his 37th birthday today. And he takes wide for ball one.
It makes me want to just get out of the booth right now and go down to the elevator and get a cab and take me right to the SNY studios.
Can I get you a hot dog? A little mustard and sauerkraut, maybe? 1-1 to Bird. Marlon 1 for 3 last night. Let me see what Bird has done among National League outfielders this year. I'd say another terrific season.
I would say pretty doggone good.
1-2 to Bird. Well, today is August the 30th. Tomorrow, the 31st, is the last day that a trade can be made where a player would be eligible for the postseason for the team he's traded to. So the scouts are out in droves today. There's certainly been much speculation about Cologne in that regard.
Yes.
And it has been reported, although these things are supposed to be secret, that he has cleared waivers, which makes him eligible to be traded to any team.
Right.
And so the next 24 hours are going to be ones to watch. Flores plays the short hop and throws out Bird 2 away. Nicely handled by Wilmer Flores.
Well, one thing Wilmer does very nicely at shortstop is he's very good at staying in front of the ball and using his body just like that. And that's proper fundies.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Dominic Brown will come to bat. Brown sat last night, had a pinch hitting appearance and grounded into a double play. I guess the question is, from a Mets standpoint, what would it take for a team to acquire Bartolo Colon? Now, we know he's signed for next year when he'll turn 42 years old. He's owed, what, $10-11 million next year. Is that too onerous for most teams to take on, to be able to justify giving up a prospect? David Wright retreats and makes the catch. We'll talk more about that when we come back next inning. 6 up and 6 down for Cologne. Travis d'Arnaud will lead off the home second in a scoreless game. Mets and Phillies play the middle game of their series. No score as we go to the bottom of the second. The Roken family is out in 4.
Russ and the crew.
Travis d'Arnaud will lead off for the Mets in the home second. d'Arnaud 1 for 4 last night. He drove in a run. It'll be d'Arnaud, Den Decker, and Herrera for the Mets in the second. So we were talking about Colon and the possibility that he might be dealt before the deadline tomorrow for potential postseason teams acquiring a player who can be on their postseason roster. Now, presumably, nice grab by Timmy Telford. Presumably, any team that's acquiring him isn't getting him because they feel as though they need pitching help for the last month of this season. Right. But then you have to take him on for next year as well. So, what kind of trading position does that put the Mets in as far as being able to get something of value for Colon?
Well,
off the fists, a little blooped oddly for the first out.
There's always the teams on top. You can't have enough pitching. Now, all the scouts are here. Are they here to see Colon? I'm probably so. It's tough to pull the trigger on Colon because you watch him pitch, and I always say he's a comfortable 0 for 4. I don't think he gets enough credit he deserves, and certainly a stretch run push for any club at the top pushing for a wild card or a division could use a Bartolo Colon. You can never have enough pitching.
Here's Matt Dendecker. Well, you look at a team like the Angels,
right?
Garrett Richards, and clearly, they're the best. They have the best record in baseball right now. But they could really use another starting pitcher, and he's been there before. He won a Cy Young in Anaheim. They certainly know him well there.
Well, you're not going to get, I don't think, a major league player. Angels aren't going to give, I think, someone up that's going to take away from their best team in the league, and in both leagues. You just said the best record. They don't want to disrupt that, but certainly you might go down to their minor league system or whoever's interested and maybe look for it there. I'm sure the Mets would want them to pick up the entire salary. I mean, would they want to negotiate the Mets picking up a portion? How much would the Mets be? There's a whole lot of.
Why would that be of value to the Mets? I mean, after all, they could bring Colon back next year. He's of value as a veteran pitcher amongst what will be a younger staff. The Mets have a couple of other veterans in their rotation, and Nice and G. They might be trade bait in the offseason. Dendecker lines one to the left center for a base hit. That's what's been missing from Matt lately.
Yep, that is good to see right there. Short stroke, gap to gap. Now, slider down the middle, and that's a ball he could have pulled, but I'm glad he went that way. The ball down the middle, Gary, that is around inner half, outer half, into the middle, is a ball you can play. It's much like a golfer shaping a slice or shaping a hook around a dog leg right. You can play the ball, either pull it or you can go the other way. When you're going bad, you want to go over the opposite field, if you're a left-hand hitter, over the shortstop's head. So I'm glad to see that.
Dendecker's hit the first for either side, and now Dilson Herrera looking for his first big league hit. Went 0 for 3 in his debut last night.
I think getting back to Colon, the Mets are not in a position where there's any pressure to have to trade Colon. If there's nothing there that they're offering, Sandy, he's getting offered, they can hang on to him. I mean, the Mets are going to make a move in the offseason to bring a bat, and they're going to have to give up probably a starting pitcher.
Herrera lifts one to shallow right. And Bird is there for the second out. Dendecker back to first. To me, the only reason you would trade Colon is to save the payroll, to give you more flexibility, to afford the bat that you're talking about that they need to bring back.
That's always, yes, that is definitely a consideration. And, who are the ones of the starting 5 right now in the Mets? If they have to give up a starter, and agree or not or don't, I think it's either going to have to be G or Nice.
I agree with that.
They're not. I mean, to me, DeGrom is untouchable. Wheeler's untouchable. Harvey will be back. So
Syndergaard's on the way, and
I'm sure there'll be some interest in Syndergaard from other teams, even though he did not have a very good year in AAA. That doesn't mean anything.
Wilmer Flores 1 for 2 last night. Swung the bat better than he has in a while, and he drills that foul.
I just, you're hearing more and more now, Gary, about second and third Tommy John surgeries, where before it was okay, he'll come back stronger than ever. Well, that's not the case anymore.
Well, I think what you're seeing is there are very few pitchers that are getting through seasons unscathed. Dylan G's been on the DL this year. Nice has been on the DL. DeGrom's been on the DL. You need depth in your starting pitching. You can't go into the season saying these are our 5 guys if they're going to be in there all year. You need 8, 9, sometimes 10 guys. And the Mets have the luxury of having that kind of depth. Right.
And I also feel the same way about bullpens. I think bullpens, they get hurt there too. Look at Vic Black's down with a herniated disc in his neck. Dice K went down.
Flores skims one just foul. Almost put it right over the bag.
No one told Dendecker it was foul. He's feeling good. He was motoring around the bases.
Ron Culpa right on top of the play.
Wow, that's close.
That is not a play you can challenge because it was fair or foul in front of the base umpire. One and 2 to Flores with Dendecker at first and 2 out. And Wilmer punches one to the right side. Utley has to charge, makes the glove flip, and he got him. That's a long distance to flip it with your glove, and Utley did it just perfectly. Flores is retired, and that gets Jerome Williams through the bottom of the second. That may be an Olympic record for the longest glove flip. Sunday when the Mets take on the Phillies at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets lunch cooler bag courtesy of Geico. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Some bolts, some nuts, and baseball.
Nice shot.
Very artistic. Dan Barr, the director, he has a style all his own.
He's coming to his own. He's a totally different person.
He doesn't have quite as many Emmys as Bill Webb.
He got married and it completely changed his life.
Ruiz slams one out to right, and Granderson retreats and has it for the first out. Now, we mentioned Bill Webb and his Emmys. This you're going to like.
There's Billy.
Now, he's only juggling 4 of them there. He's 1 over 40. But I especially like the top hat to go with the tux. I only hope that Webby is watching at home and saw that. Would be so pleased.
I'll see if we get a text from him.
Here's Cody Ashe hitting 8th in the order, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Colon's retired the first 7, continuing his dominance of the Phillies. He's now gotten 43 innings against the Phils this year, walked only 4 batters. Ashe hits another one out to right. Granderson back for this one, and it's over his head. Ashe digging for second, and in sliding with a 1-out double. So the Phillies have their first hit of the night. Ashe's 19th double of the year.
Very quick inside Ashe right there. Not a bad pitch from Colon. He turned on it. I think it probably surprised Colon, and Colon will put that in the back of his brain there, and probably more reluctant to go try to get back in. This ball was roped. Granderson had no shot. Nice.
Now the pitcher Williams takes a curveball for a strike. Williams, lifetime 110 hitter, 0 for 5 this year. Ashe at second and 1 out.
Well, we mentioned Dan Barr and the newlywed Dan Barr, and how it just made enormous improvements on every aspect of his life. My youngest daughter got asked to be married. She was proposed to yesterday.
Congratulations.
Today, by her 5-year boyfriend, Chris, and they're getting married. So I'm happy about that.
Slam down to first. Duda thinks about third, but takes the sure out as Ashe goes over to third, 2 out. Now, did the young man ask for your approval before he went ahead?
Very interesting. I received a text. It's a whole new world. So got a text that he wanted to talk with me, and that he wanted to going to ask Mary to marry him, and so I texted him back saying it's great news, and so that's him.
No.
I'm only kidding. Anyway, so I'm very happy for Mary.
You didn't provide any admonitions. You didn't set him straight.
No, I told him to elope, and I'll pay for the honeymoon.
Very wise. Here's Ben Revere with Ashe at third and 2 out. After we worry of the 2-out bunt, and Revere takes a strike. So Wright staying in on the grass at third. Duda, though, playing back at first. Slap foul, and it's 0-2.
What can I say it, Gary? Ben Revere needs one more hit and one more stolen base to become the 4th Philadelphia Philly outfielder since 1907 to get 40 stolen bases and 150 hits, or whatever that's worth.
I'm really glad you were able to work that.
I've just been obsessed with that.
Since the moment you arrived yesterday, you have wanted to work that into the broadcast.
I did.
0-2 from Colon, and Revere fouls it off. Of course, the Mets are hoping that if he gets to those numbers, it's after the Phillies leave town.
So the others were Von Hayes, the most recent Von Hayes did it in '84, Milt Thompson in '87, and Bobby Abreu in 2004.
But nobody before that. Nobody from 1907.
1907, yeah.
Until 1980.
Yeah, 84.
0-2. Just missed inside.
Colon thought he had it. He wanted that call. He's got the good movement too.
Arno held an extra beat for Dana DeMuth, but couldn't get him to bite. Now it's 1-2 to Revere with Rollins on deck. Good stop by Darno on the slider in the dirt. 2-2.
That's just ahead in the count, trying to throw one in the dirt. No intention to throw it for a strike and to get Revere to swing at it. The fish weren't biting. Now he'll attack him with an out pitch.
Little tapper, and Colon off the mound. Gets himself through the third. A double, and Ashe is left on third base. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the third. Still no score. Ford dealers. For great deals on cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, visit tristateford.com.
Beautiful shot. The old Chrysler building on the right. That used to be my view from my apartment, the Chrysler building, looking downtown. I miss it. I miss living in the city.
Bartolo Colon will take his hacks, leading off in the bottom of the third. Colon hitting 0-40, 2 hits and 50 at bats. Last night, the Mets won a game in which they managed just 4 hits. They were helped out by an inning where they had 3 runs and didn't have a hit. 2 walks, a hit batsman, the drop fly ball, and a double steal.
Well, they were out hit last night 5-4.
Winning with 4 hits is pretty unusual, as Colon is out on 3 pitches. First strikeout for Jerome Williams. But that was, surprisingly enough, the 6th time this year that the Mets have won a game where they had 4 hits or fewer. And 5 of those 6 games have come since the All-Star break, where they've won with 4 hits or fewer. No team in baseball has won more games this year with that little offense, which is a real testament to how well the Mets have pitched this year.
Now, the Padres won 2 games this year with getting 1 hit.
Yes.
1-0 game, and believe it or not, I think a 3-2 game.
I think you're right.
And there had to be walks and errors there.
Well, Lagares takes a strike.
And Oakland beat Tampa Bay earlier in the year, I recall, 1-0 on 1 hit.
Yeah, that wasn't all that long ago. Yeah, so that happens, and it's been that kind of year in baseball. It's been a down offensive year. But you think about where the Mets are in the standings, and they could be a lot worse off if they hadn't won some of those very low offense games.
You can't categorize this like 1968. The 1968 was so dramatic.
Well, I think the game is very different now. I think in 1968 you had starting pitchers routinely going the distance.
Right.
Gibson had 13 shutouts that year in 28 complete games. But what you have now, as Lagares chases one out of the strike zone, back-to-back strikeouts for Williams. What you have now is not only starting pitchers who are throwing harder than ever, but you've got this lineup of relief pitchers from the 7th inning on who are all throwing 95 plus.
Well, I'd like to equate that 95 to 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't trust the gun. I think it's an ooh and ah for the fans. Nice. Well, we'll get back to it, I guess. These innings are going too fast, Gary. We got to speed it up.
Jerome Williams with a 1-2-3 inning on Curtis Granderson bobblehead night. No score.
Nathan's. Not just any hot dog.
I'm very partial to Nathan's fries.
You like the fries?
Crinkle cut fries.
Okay.
They're fairly awesome.
Are they crisp?
Or sometimes the edges are just crisp and they're thick, and I can't even explain how great real Nathan's fries are.
Do you do it with ketchup or Solo Pilot? Nothing on it?
I'll use a little mustard.
Oh, French. Very French, Garrett.
Well, you know, the British, they put
I know.
vinegar.
I know that malt vinegar,
Yeah.
right? No thanks.
Jimmy Rollins leads off in the 4th inning in a scoreless game. Takes a strike from Cologne. Cologne just 30 pitches through 3 innings. Some French fries there. Working over. 0-2 to Rollins. Well, Jimmy Rollins, over the last 40 years, only 4 shortstops have hit more home runs than has Rollins. He's hit 30 of those 215 home runs against the Mets, which puts him 3rd on his own team in terms of home runs against the Mets.
And 2 of those.
Howard's at 40 and Utley 33.
2 of those shortstops in that list have had steroid issues.
Utley to follow. Cologne looking for his first strikeout of the night. And Rollins powers one to deep right field. Granderson back right at the wall to make the catch. Right at the top of the fence. It's his bobblehead night, you know. And Granderson makes a terrific play to take an extra base hit away from Rollins.
Well, he gets his positioning here, and there's that Mo zone. Only 375 right there. Look at the fans. No. Very nice. Nice play. And I always like the way Cologne applauds his defenders behind him.
One tough play for Granderson, 1 out in the top of the 4th. Here's Utley, flying to center his first time up.
Another guy with an amazing career. And lost in all the shuffle is his defensive skills. He's quite the fielder at second base. Never won a Gold Glove, I don't believe. Well, there's Utley's ranks, and he's every bit of that. He was one of the premier players in the game.
Well, he had hip issues and knee issues that slowed him down for the last 3 or 4 years. But he is much more now the player he was 5 years ago. That just missed. Cologne has had some tight ones go against him from Dana DeMuth.
Utley with that very short stroke, almost a hockey swing, very little follow through. Always hit left-handers well his whole career. Consummate professional.
Gets jammed and flies one out to Granderson. He's having himself a busy inning. Easier play this time for the second out. So Cologne has begun the night by retiring 11 of the first 12. You are correct. No gold
No
glove.
Gold Gloves. That's what I thought. Yes, it's Rollins that had 4 and an MVP, Jimmy.
But
oh, that Brandon Phillips has always had a lock on that.
Darwin Barney won it 1 year. So here's Ryan Howard, who grounded out to short his first time up. And takes a strike. Howard 0 for 5 in this series. There was a time in late July, as you look at the shift against Howard, when Ryan Sandberg sat Howard down for 3 days. Flipped out to left field pretty deep. Back goes Dendecker to the track. Runs it down. 2 outstanding defensive plays by the corner outfielders.
Well, and outfield defense, non-Lagares division. Granderson and now Dendecker. Still no score at Citi Field.
Seamless connectivity. Juan Lagares isn't the only Met outfielder who can take away extra base hits.
Well, you're playing in Philadelphia. Both those balls are home runs. 2 solo home runs. It's a whole different ball game here at Citi Field.
It's the one thing the Mets have learned in their 6 years playing here. You have got to have outfielders who can cover ground. David Wright leads off on the home fourth and takes a strike. David drew a walk his first time up. And 2 base runners given up by Jerome Williams over the first 3 innings. Wright, Duda, and Darno for the Mets in the fourth. Two and two to Wright. Dribbles foul. David had a base hit last night and scored the only man run until that drop fly ball gave them the lead late in the game. Up and in, full count. So Williams has gone to a full count on only 2 hitters tonight. Both times it's been Wright. He walked him his first time up. 3-2 this time, and he walks him again. So the Mets get the leadoff man on for the first time of the game. David, whose walks are way down this year, walking in his first 2 plate appearances tonight. And now Duda will step in with a man aboard.
Well, Lucas, with a month left in the season, needs 4 home runs. That's quite a plateau, huh? 30 home runs.
Flied out to center field his first time up tonight. Phillies put on the full shift against him, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Big shift, but because of double play depth, Utley cannot get out into the outfield. Got to get that that ground ball, still be able to turn 2. You can't do it if you're 15 feet out in the outfield grass.
Down to first. Howard gets the out at first. Now Wright is in the rundown. They wave off the obstruction.
That's a terrible rundown.
And Wright gets back safely. Utley couldn't run him down. Well, they could have called obstruction earlier in the rundown. They waved it off, and then David outraced Utley back to the bag.
Well, David was on the grass. That could have gone either way, that call. They want to definitely challenge. And we'll take a look here. This is just a brutal rundown. See, he's in the grass right there.
Yeah, but he was claiming that Rollins got in his way. I think that's how he ended up in the grass.
Well, my point is he's out the baseline. Yeah, he's clearly out.
Well, the question is, was he tagged? And it looked from that angle as though he was tagged by Utley.
Yep. And I'm...
Sandberg out discussing it with Ron Colton. He has not yet challenged the call.
He hasn't seen it. He's out.
That certainly appears as though he was out. He already got the thumbs up from Larry Bowie in the Philly dugout, so I'm not sure what Sandberg was waiting for. But clearly, Utley tagged him out, so that should be a double play.
So what is that? 3-6, 3-4, Gare?
I believe that's correct. Not yet, though. Play under review brought to you by the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Utley's thinking, I haven't lost that much of a step. I should have been able to make that tag, and it turns out that he did.
Yeah, he's out.
So they overturn the call, and they do it with alacrity.
can, just rundowns are just a pet peeve with me. I hate to see major leaguers have 4 throws in a rundown and have it even close to being reviewable. Very poor rundown.
So it is 3-6, 3-4 on the double play.
And it all starts with right here. Watch where Howard is. He never leaves. Close, all you kids. You got someone backing you up at first base. You close the gap between whoever the infielder is running him back towards you. You close the gap.
So now d'Arnaud bats with 2 out and nobody on. Takes a letter high strike. d'Arnaud got jammed and had a little bloop to Otley his first time up.
d'Arnaud's got a little piece of his hair hanging out of through the hole in the top of his helmet. That's those larger holes.
More breathable. Now the right field line. Bird over toward that sidewall, and it goes out of play.
d'Arnaud is, at least tonight, tends to have a game where he kind of looks like he's reaching for the outside corner. And remember, when he was up, you see how he's reaching? So before he was sent down, remember, he had all that difficulty with the outside corner, Gary, and I don't like to see him not have that plate coverage. Got to be able to cover the outside corner.
Do you think there's at all a fatigue factor in that? Another nice pickup by Tuffle, his second tonight. He's been playing every day, catching every day, late in the season. Do you think there's a fatigue factor in terms of that?
How old is he? 20 what? 25 yet?
25, 26.
Since prime. Come on. Get the old AstroTurf out here with the cutouts and see how they like it.
d'Arnaud hits one well to center, but Revere has it lined up. And that retires the side. So a leadoff walk. Mets are not able to do anything with it. After 4 at Citi Field, still no score. One game to go in this homestand tomorrow, closing out the month of August against the Phillies. Mets will have a Labor Day weekday game in Miami to start the month of September. 3 in Miami, 3 in Cincinnati before the Mets come back home.
I will not be there.
Anywhere?
Not in Miami. It's the first trip to Miami I've missed with SNY.
You'll be in Cincinnati.
I'll be in Cincinnati.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Of course not.
Bartolo Colon's allowed just 1 base runner over the first 4 innings. A double to Cody Ashe in the 3rd. Marlon Byrd on his 37th birthday leads off the 5th. So it was 37 years ago today that Marlon Byrd was born. It was 40 years ago today, August 30th, 1974, at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, that a promising young first baseman is hit to right center, deep. Granderson back near the wall. It's out of here. Marlon Byrd with a birthday home run breaks the ice. His 25th home run of the year gives the Phillies a 1-0 lead.
Gary, once we go through the replays of the home run, get back to your story.
I promise you I will not forget. Well, we led off the broadcast tonight talking about Marlon Byrd playing on his birthday today, and he takes Cologne deep.
Outside fastball down. Marlon loves that ball away, and Curtis runs out of room. 25th home run. Marlon has a shot for 30.
Dominic Brown swings through the fastball. So Byrd with his 25th home run, 78 RBIs, and he puts the Phillies in front 1-0. That leads us to the first run of the game, brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
As you were saying,
I didn't forget. I promise.
I had no idea about this, by the way.
So it was 40 years ago today that a promising young first baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals named Keith Hernandez made his debut at Candlestick Park. First game in the major leagues. What, 20 years old?
20 years old. I'm 60 now. Yep. How about that? I thought I got called up to 23rd, but I guess I was wrong. And ironically, Met fans, and I'm sure you all, the avid Met fans, know the story, is that Joe Torre was the first baseman. That was the year the Cardinals, we lost the Eastern Division next to the last day of the season against the Pirates. And Joe Torre sprained his thumb, and there was no retroactive DLs back then. They didn't want, it was day to day, they didn't want to DL Joe. So basically it was day to day, and I came up and I played every day for around 8 days until Joe came back in the lineup. And guess whose spot on the roster I took? I took Tim McCarver's spot on the roster. So we're all intertwined here. Joe became a manager of the Mets. McCarver, of course, went to Boston, didn't have success there, then found a home in Philadelphia catching Steve Carlton and becoming a Mets announcer. So it's all in the family.
Cologne strikes out Brown. First strikeout of the night for Cologne. 1 out in the 5th. Well, unfortunately, Keith was not a magic elixir for the Cardinals that first game. By the time he got his first at bat in the 3rd inning, the Giants already led 5-0.
Right, and Mike Caldwell was the pitcher. He walked me on 4 pitches, and I was relieved. I got a base hit, I believe, my next time up, my first major league hit. No.
I'll give you the whole chronology.
I got the 3rd time then.
Let's start with that first at bat. Okay, you walked. The next guy up was Mike Tyson, and he grounded into a double play. So I'd like to know, was there a hard takeout slide involved?
I forget. It's a long time ago.
Wright makes the long throw off target. Duda swipes a tag and gets Ruiz. Nicely done by Duda to save Wright in there.
Well, Lucas, for a big guy, this is obviously his position, and he's become much more comfortable playing every day at first base. This is not that difficult to play, but it takes a little bit of athleticism, and nicely done by Lucas.
Ruiz trying to get inside the tag, but Lucas able to make the swipe, so there are 2 out.
I know I struck out in that game.
So the first time up you walked, second time up you struck out, third time up you walked, and then your last time up, not against Caldwell, but against Elias Sosa.
I got my hit off him?
Yes.
Wow, isn't that
the
funny?
Base hit in the 9th inning to drive in Bake McBride, so your first hit and your first RBI against Elias Sosa. Same pitcher that Reggie Jackson hit one of his 3 home runs.
Oh, that's right, with the Dodgers.
Against.
In all these years, I thought I got my first hit off Mike Caldwell.
Funny.
I got a ball that says, my ball says Mike Caldwell. It's
really?
Sosa. I'll have to change it.
You can't deface it now.
Isn't that? I'll be darned. Elias Sosa, I can tell you, straight fastball. Little tight slider around 6 inches flat through strikes.
Do you know who started for you guys for the Cardinals that day?
No.
Sonny Siebert.
Oh, I remember Sonny.
Dendecker sliding, but that's a foul ball.
Sonny Siebert was a piece of work.
Got knocked out in the 3rd inning that day.
He was one of the few veterans on that team because it was truly, back in those days, you were a plebe. And there's the ball just foul. And fans, you can text in if you're getting bored with this conversation. We'll get back to the game if you prefer. But Sonny Siebert was one of the few veterans that really treated me, went out of his way to be nice to me. He had good stuff. He had a couple good years at Cleveland when he was young.
Yes, he did. He and Sam McDowell were on the same staff.
Was Tion with them then too, or no?
Yeah, in '68. Yeah. Just missed 2-2. Now, for all of you who claim that you were at Keith's first major league game, the likelihood is that you're not telling the truth. The paid crowd at Candlestick for your first major league game was 3,111.
And it was cold.
In August.
It was freezing. And my parents were there, my brother, obviously, tons of family. It was a very nerve-wracking day.
40 years ago today.
How about it? Still going strong, too.
3-2 to Ashe, and he pops one up. Lagares coming hard. Herrera out, and it falls in front of Lagares. And Ashe has himself a pop fly single. Well, Herrera wasn't going to get there, and Lagares didn't either. And Ashe is 2 for 2.
Well, this is well placed because you've got Lagares out there. For this ball to drop, it's got to be hit perfectly. Does a nice job to keep the ball in front, not get by him. Good effort.
So the Phillies have their 3rd hit, and here's the pitcher Williams with 2 out and a runner at first.
That was the Giants back in that day. Had Jim Barr was in their starting staff. Charlie Williams was pitching for that team amid the big trade for Willie Mays. They did not have a good team.
Cologne ahead 0-2. And Williams taps one for Herrera to handle. That retires the side, but Phillies take the lead. Marlon Byrd on his 37th birthday going the other way against Bartolo Colon. The former Met takes one into the bullpen. Halfway through at Citi Field. 1-0 Philadelphia. TV. That's powerful. 93 apiece for Bartolo Colon and Jerome Williams. The Phillies and Williams with a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Matt Dendecker, who has the only Met hit tonight, will lead off against Williams. While your debut certainly takes precedence over everything on the anniversary scale, today is also the anniversary of another seminal day in Mets history. It was 15 years ago today, August 30th, 1999, that a player for the Mets had the greatest offensive day that any Met has ever had.
That would have been Alfonso.
Edgardo Alfonso went 6 for 6, 6 runs scored, 3 home runs in the Astrodome.
Yes. 1 home run was the center field, if I recall.
And I believe the Mets won the game 17-1. Matt Dendecker leads off. I mean, he was a machine that day, Fonzie was.
Fonzie was quite the player. He just dropped off real quick, didn't he? But he had some great years here.
Dendecker singled to left center his first time up, and Williams keeps the ball away from him. 2-0. Dilson Herrera on deck, then Wilmer Flores as the Mets look to get even here in the 5th after Bird's home run gave the Phillies the lead in the top of the inning. And now 3-0. Williams walked the leadoff hitter in the last inning as he walked right, but then Duda grounded into a double play. Now in danger of walking the leadoff hitter for a second straight inning. Dendecker takes a strike. "32-year-old Jerome Williams making his 4th start for the Phillies, his 3rd big league team this year. There's a strike, 3-2.
Not much of emotion here. Very compact leg kick. He's not a drop and drive. There's no push off that back foot. He's just a little dart thrower. Sinker, slider, change. Those strikes.
Slow ground ball. Utley's got it. So Williams, after falling behind 3-0, comes back to get Dendecker on the ground ball. 1 out in the home 5th. And now Dilson Herrera. Herrera flying to right his first time up tonight. 0 for 4 to start his big league career. Herrera, the first Met position player ever to make it to the big leagues after beginning the season as a Class A player. Began his year in Port St. Lucie. Got a promotion to Binghamton, where he did even better in Double-A than he had in Single-A. Combined .323 at those 2 levels in 128 games with 13 home runs. And he takes a fastball for a strike. For more on Dilson Herrera, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
And just like Keith, Dilson Herrera made his MLB debut at age 20, and last night also in the 9th inning made his first ever big league error. Pretty good person on the mound for him to do it, though, was Henry Mejia, who also knows a thing or two about debuting at the age of 20. And Mejia was telling me today that as soon as that error was made in the 9th inning, he felt the need to turn around and just calm Herrera down a little bit, say, hey, listen, it's fine, calm down, we'll get the next guy, maybe get into a double play here. And Herrera actually sought out Mejia after the game, told him how much that meant to him. Herrera said, I was nervous after that you guys would react negatively and everyone would be mad at me. Mejia said, no, not at all. We understand what kind of a day this is. And they started talking back about his original debut as well and how guys like K-Rod were so helpful to Henry Mejia back in the day.
Mejia and Ruben Tejada were the last 20-year-olds to debut for the Mets, and they debuted on the same day. So they had 20-year-old company. Herrera now the youngest player in the major leagues. Not the youngest aged player to play in the major leagues this year. When the Rangers' Rougned Odor came up, he was a little younger than Herrera is right now, but Odor is now a month older. 3-2 is bounced foul.
Well, what I've seen so far in this at bat in particular, which is he strung out to a full count, fell behind the counters, Flores in the on deck circle, is that he fought off an inside fastball. He's going up the middle. He's going to be a good 2-strike hitter if he keeps that approach.
And he draws a walk, so Herrera is on base for the first time in his big league career. 3rd walk given up by Jerome Williams. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner. Wilmer Flores the batter. Herrera had 23 steals in the minor leagues this year. Caught 7 times. Not considered a burner, but a guy with pretty good speed. Stolen base numbers in the minors are really subject to interpretation. Pitchers don't hold runners particularly well. So it remains to be seen what kind of base stealer he can be at the big league level. Flores grounded out to Utley his first time up. And takes the fastball for a strike. Bartolo Colon out on deck.
And I know the hit and runs out of the game, but I think Flores can hit and run. He goes that way. Look, little I've seen of Herrera, he could hit and run. I've always felt David Wright could hit and run.
Slowly hit. Rollins gets the play at second just in time to get Herrera.
Beautiful play right there from Rollins. Gets in front of the ball, knows he has to hurry. Perfect. Those two guys have done it for a long time.
As a veteran player like a Rollins, you're making a play like that. You've never really seen Dilson Herrera play. How do you know how much time you have?
Well, you know the ball's hit slowly, and your peripheral vision, as the ball's hit slowly to you, Gary, you can glance at the runner as the ball's still dribbling on the grass.
Colon hits it sharply, and Rollins makes that play unassisted. Maybe about as hard as Colon's hit a ball all year, including his double. First pitch at a Mets game. Purchase any size hot coffee with your Perks and Roll Dunkin' Donuts card for the chance to win. No purchase necessary. Hurry as the contest ends tomorrow. So enter now at firstcupfirstpitch.com. Line score brought to you by TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. Not much in that line score. A home run by Marlon Byrd in the top of the 5th is it. Bartolo Colon and Jerome Williams, 2 veteran pitchers.
Just
matching zeros.
A dearth of offense. It's just not the Mets. It's everywhere. It's very concerning. I just don't see a lot of very good hitters. I don't. I see a lot of big outs.
Well, there's your out-of-town scoreboard. The Cardinals lost their 4th in a row today. The Pirates won their 4th in a row, and they're now just a half game behind St. Louis for the 2nd wild card spot in the National League.
Told you to watch those Parates.
By the way, you say lack of offense, and that certainly is true. Offense is way down, but how about the performance that the Washington Nationals put on last night in Seattle against Felix Hernandez? 6 home runs for the Nats, including 4 off King Felix. which never happens.
Every great pitcher has a bad day. They got him. Tagged him.
And Revere fouls one off, 0-2. How about Buster Posey's 5-for-5 night last night for the Giants, and he came out after 6 innings with a 5-for-5 night on the board.
Wow.
And what about the Chicago Cubs young players?
Yes, the new guy.
Now, I like this one. As Colon is ahead on Revere 0-2. From 1900 to 2013, there was only one player in Major League history who had 3 home runs in his first 3 games in the majors. That was Joe Cunningham in 1954.
Right.
The Cubs have now had it twice in a month. First Javier Baez and now Jorge Soler.
Right. Soler is just raging.
Hit hard. Revere's got his 150th hit of the year.
Thank you, Ben. Now steals a base.
That'll be hard. Colon holds them on well.
We're supposed to be like Karnak here, folks. We're supposed to bring these things up and they happen.
Well, it was a pretty good bet he was going to get a hit sometime in the series.
Well,
that's his first in 7 at-bats in the series. So the Phillies have the leadoff man on. Revere with 39 steals, and Jimmy Rollins will step in. Rollins hit one to the fence in right field, and Curtis Granderson did a fine job robbing of an extra base hit. There have been only 3 stolen bases against Colon this year in 25 starts. 3 for 4.
He is a totally accomplished pitcher in every aspect of the game. That's what happens when you're in the big leagues. You know who the stolen base guys are, what you have to do.
Revere is 3rd in the National League in steals. D. Gordon has 58. Billy Hamilton 53, and then comes Revere with 39.
That's a doubleheader the Cubs and the Cardinals are playing.
And Soler just had an RBI double. And Rollins looking to push a bunt with David Wright playing back at 3rd. It's not the first time Jimmy's tried to do that tonight. Did that his first time up. Utley on deck.
See, Detroit got beat today.
Detroit got beat by Chris Sale, who with Felix Hernandez starting to bobble a little bit, looks like he might be the favorite for the Cy Young in the American League.
Yankees
Sale
lose.
struck out 13 today. The Yankees have just 1 hit against Drew Hutchinson and the Blue Jays. Line, base hit for Jimmy Rollins. And so Revere and Rollins with back-to-back hits to start the 6th inning. Well, remember, this is where Colon was in his last start against the Dodgers. He got into the 6th and then began to tire a little bit. We'll see if the Mets have another triple play in them, which is what they did for Colon in the 6th inning in his last start.
That was a backdoor slider that was 3 inches outside, and Rollins went out and got it. Miami's up on Atlanta in the 5th, 3-0. Those are all the times to look at the scoreboard. Now we're getting down to nitty gritty. Here's the pitch. Look, that ball's outside, right around 4 inches.
Now, if Colon is to get the triple play this time, that means Revere has got to play the role of Yasiel Puig. Right?
Yes.
Tried to score from second on the double play and got thrown out by a mile. Utley showing bunt.
Wow.
How serious was that?
The ball was right down the pipe.
Wright is not buying it. He's staying back at third base.
I don't know what he was thinking.
Utley's been up twice, flied out both times.
Your number 3 hitter.
Lots of speed out there. Revere at second, Rollins at first, and nobody out. And a foul tip. 0-2.
Always looks like Colon when he goes back to the mound after a pitch that he's always thinking, okay, what am I going to just throw a changeup and he's fit. I'm 0-2. What am I going to throw this time? How am I going to attack him?
Utley lines one up the middle, a base hit. Revere goes to third. He'll be held there against the arm of Lagares. So 3 straight singles for the Phillies, and the base is loaded with nobody out.
Bartolo is not going to be happy with himself there. 0-2 count. Change up again. That pitch was 3 inches outside. Revere had to kind of hesitate because the pitcher wasn't sure going to catch the ball. You don't want to get doubled up. Bases loaded, nobody out.
Dan Warthen will go to the mound to talk to Colon. So again, the difficult travel that Colon has had to endure over the last 10 days may be catching up with him. We saw this in Los Angeles. Remember, he went home to the Dominican. His mom passed away. He flew all the way out to Los Angeles, made the start there. His buddy Carlisle gets up. He tired in the 6th inning in that game and admitted to being spent. Now he went home to the Dominican again for the funeral on Thursday, came back yesterday, and here he is again in the 6th inning, maybe running out of gas again.
Well, he got hurt on 2 base hits back to back. Rollins and Utley, left-hand hitters. One a slider, backdoor slider, the other one a changeup sinking away, and both were 4 inches off the plate, and they're covering it. So maybe another left-hand hitter, maybe he needs to come inside if those guys are diving out there.
Revere, Rollins, and Utley with consecutive singles. Now it's Howard with the bases loaded. And Howard rockets one into right field for a base hit. That'll bring in Revere. Rollins right behind him. Granderson's throw to the plate is cut off. A 2-run single for Ryan Howard. 4 straight hits for the Phillies, who now have a 3-0 lead.
First pitch attacking, another pitch that bled out over the middle. Let's see where the catcher sets up. Away, right down the middle. Didn't sink. Well, the runner should be on contact, moving, because there's no way anyone's going to catch this ball.
And Utley easily went first to third as 2 runs come in, and now Marlon Byrd, who opened the scoring in this game with an opposite field home run his last time up. So the Phillies up 3-0 with a chance for a whole lot more. 1st and 3rd and nobody out. And Byrd rips one foul. Well, Bird's home run was his 25th of the year, which is a new career high for him. At 24 last year. 21 of those for the Mets. And the other 3 for the Pirates. So at age 37, Byrd establishing a new career high for home runs. You don't see that very often. It's not in the post-Bonds era. Ball and a strike to Byrd. Bartolo trying to stop the bleeding. 4 straight hits, 2 runs in, nobody out. And he gets ahead on Byrd, 1 and 2. It was coming very easily for Colon early on. But now he's given up 6 hits to the last 9 batters. One-two to Byrd. Got him with a slider. There's the first out of the inning. Second strikeout of the night for Colon as he gets Byrd, who has struck out more times than any hitter in the National League this year.
Just a flat slider chasing.
159 times Byrd has now struck out. So 1st and 3rd and 1 out. Now Dominic Brown. Brown has popped to 3rd and struck out 0 for 2. And Colon looking for that ground ball to get him through the inning. And Brown fouls one away.
Well, there was the pitch to hit.
Well, it's hard to be more disappointing than Dominic Brown has been.
Look at this. He's trying to go that way, the right approach, covering the outside corner.
Last year he had that one great month for the Phillies, but in the year plus that has followed, he has done very little. 400 at bats this year, just 7 home runs, hitting under 230.
He's just kind of a guy that plays the game kind of in third gear. He just can't change speeds. He can't. There's no overdrive. He needs to pick it up, play with a little more enthusiasm, a little more oomph.
Two and one to Brown. That's in at the knees for a strike.
Well, we got a borderline one right there. Backdoor slider. That could have been ball 3. No changeup. Let's see. That's borderline. Good pitch.
Utley at third, Howard at first, and 1 out. A run home here. 2 runs home here in the 6th. 2-2 to Brown. Off the fist, a little flare. Granderson will have to watch it drop in front of him, and that'll bring in another run. Well, Colon made a terrific pitch. Got in on the hands of Brown, who dunks one into right field to drive in Utley, and makes it 4-0 Philadelphia.
And you're right. Everything away, and he comes inside, makes a good pitch, and give Dominic Brown a little credit. He really rushed his bat through and just muscled it out there. It almost knocked him back, the recoil. Bit surprised that Terry's staying this long with Colon.
5 hits in the inning have produced 3 runs. Now Carlos Ruiz, who's 0 for 2. Flied out and grounded out. Well, the first 4 hits in the inning were all hard hits. The last one of the much softer variety, but nonetheless,
it's one of those, when it rains it pours, you know, and nothing can't catch a break.
Well, the bullpen is ready if Terry needs it. Carlisle's been throwing for quite some time. 1-0 to Ruiz. Out to right center field, and that's down for a base hit. Howard limping around third. He'll come in to score the 4th run of the inning on an RBI hit from Carlos Ruiz, and it's 5-0 Philadelphia.
That's got to be it here, I would think. It's another hard hit ball right there, and here comes Terry.
It's painful to watch Ryan Howard.
Howard just poor, just not good base running. Should have been no indecision on him that the ball was going to be caught. Brown too. The play's right in front of him. I don't get it.
So the Phillies put together 6 hits. They've scored 4 runs in this 6th inning. And Colon is chased. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. 5-0 Phils in the 6th. We'll be right back. Buddy Carlisle comes on in relief and misses high with his first pitch to Cody Ashley.
Carlisle's been outstanding. He loves his fastball. And you know me, folks, I love a guy that throws fastballs. And sometimes I think he needs to mix in more of a breaking ball. But he can bring it up there. He's not afraid.
Facing Ashley, who's 2 for 2 tonight, doubled into right center in the third, and then hit a pop fly single in the fifth. The Phillies have strung together 6 hits to score 4 runs here in the 6th inning. Brown at third, Ruiz at first, and 1 out. Danny Evelyn staying busy in the Mets bullpen. Carlisle last pitched on Tuesday night, a perfect inning against the Braves, and he gets ahead on Ashley. 1 and 2. The pitcher Williams is out on deck. Ashley the 8th man up in the inning. So Colon threw 81 pitches over 5 1/3, allowed 9 hits and the 5 runs so far. Didn't walk a batter, struck out 2, gave up a home run. And while he pitched awfully well for the first 5 innings, the roof caved in on him here in the 6th. Buddy Carlisle made his Mets debut in Philadelphia during that 5-game extravaganza that the Mets and Phillies played at the end of May and the beginning of June, when they played 57 innings in 5 days. And Carlisle came in with a bang. Cody Ashley adds to the damage with a base hit. That brings in Brown. Ruiz goes first to third. That is 7 hits in the inning for the Phillies. They've now scored 5 and lead at 6-0. And Cody Ashley is 3 for 3.
It's turned into a hit parade here. Another fastball. Up, out, over the plate.
And so the hits just keep on coming. 8 men have batted in the inning. 7 have had base hits. 5 have scored. And now Jerome Williams, the 9th man up in the inning. Williams has been up twice and grounded out both times. And he tries to push a bunt. It's a fair ball, and Darno will go to first with it. It's a sacrifice for Williams. Might have had a chance for a double play if he'd hurried, but decided to take the shore out. 2-3 on the sacrifice. So now 2 in scoring position, and Ben Revere, who began this inning with his 150th hit of the season.
That's right.
Will get his second turn at bat in the inning. Revere taking his time, giving Williams a chance to lug his bat back to the dugout. Meanwhile, Jerome Williams, in his 4th start for the Phillies, is working on a 1-hit shutout. And now he has plenty of fortification. The Phillies now with 6 runs and 10 hits. And Revere looking for his 2nd hit in the inning. Bartolo Colon had dominated the Phillies for the first 3 starts against them this year. He was trying to become only the 4th Met pitcher ever to win 4 games from the Phillies in one season. It will not happen. Curveball from Carlisle for a strike. Earl L. Carlisle from Nebraska. 36 years old, and he has made the most of his first big league opportunity in 3 years. Herrera waits on the grounder and gets Revere by a stride to end the inning. But 10 men came to bat for the Phillies. They score 5 runs on 7 hits and lead 6-0 in the 6th. of summer deals at Hyundai's Labor Day week sales drive. Chris Sale, speaking of sales, struck out 13 this afternoon. He's now 11-3. White Sox beat the Tigers and Max Scherzer 6-3. The Cubs behind Felix Doubront beat the Cardinals 5-1. St. Louis has now lost 4 straight, and they're 1-1 in the second inning in the second game of that doubleheader. Jared Cosart pitching for the Marlins tonight. They lead the Braves 4-0 in the 6th. Who's Hot brought to you by Tom Warner Cable. Enjoy better. That's what Juan Lagares has done against the Phillies in his career. Hitting .369, but held in check so far tonight by Jerome Williams. Lagares 0 for 2. He's grounded out and struck out. Williams now with a 6-0 lead as he tries to go to 3-0 in 4 starts as a Philly. Quite a turnaround for a guy who was released by Houston and Texas, 2 of the worst teams in baseball.
And all the talk of all the flamethrowers, and you got someone out here throwing high 80s, sinker, slider, control pitcher. Don't have to bring all that blazing Cholula with you.
Rollins in front of that ground ball. And Lagares retired one away.
I kind of like Lagares in the leadoff spot here. How do you feel about that?
I think lacking another alternative right now, it's fine. I just don't know if he has the discipline to get on base at a high rate.
Okay. That's a nice time of year right now to experiment with that and take a look.
By the way, tonight is a milestone for Terry Collins. He is managing his 1,500th career game in the major leagues. Started out with the Astros and then the Angels. Before coming to the Mets, Terry had managed in 6 big league seasons, 3 with Houston and 3 with Anaheim. And he had had winning records in 4 of those 6 seasons. Since coming to the Mets, though, 4 seasons, no winning records yet. Ultimately, as a manager, it comes down to the talent they give you to put on the field. Well, Anderson flies one to left, and Brown awkwardly grabs it, 2 out.
The classic example of that, I remember my father when I was a kid telling me, was Casey Stengel all those years with the Yankees in the World Series, and he comes over to the Mets season. He can't do anything in the Mets season.
Well, how about Joe Torre?
Yep.
He began his career as a Mets manager and struggled and
got to have the horses.
Had a little success with the Braves and less with the Cardinals.
Well,
and remember when he was named manager of the Yankees, what the back page said in the Daily News, I think it was, the headline was "Clueless Joe." Well, turned out the headline was clueless, and
he was player manager that first year, wasn't he?
With the Mets, well, for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Before he packed it in as a player.
And also, what we got to mention, you said some success in Atlanta. Atlanta, he brought to a division championship in '82.
Right. He started out 13-0 that year, right?
Yes, and that carried him through. They never looked back. That's when the Dodgers made a late run. That was Fernando Valenzuela.
There and Darryl Strawberry on that Dodger team, too. Wright is called out on strikes. 3rd strikeout for Jerome Williams. And after getting the big lead, Jerome Williams sets the Mets down 1-2-3. 6-0 after 6. In the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. 7th inning in the big town. Been nothing working for the Mets tonight. Danny Evelyn will pick up the pitching in the 7th.
Well, Evelyn had the cortisone shot. He's done a very, very nice job out of the bullpen since the Mets picked him up. I think Terry has used both left-handers really well, judiciously, Edgin and Evelyn.
Faced one batter night before last against the Braves, struck out Freddie Freeman. Now he'll come in to face Jimmy Rollins as we start the 7th inning. Phillies got a home run from Marlon Byrd in the 5th, and then a 5 spot in the 6th against Bartolo Colon. Rollins had a base hit in that 5-run 6th inning. He's 1 for 3 on the night. Now just 3 hits shy of 2,300 for his major league career. And he pulls one over the bag. A fair ball going down the line. And Rollins digging for second will make it easily with a leadoff double. So first pitch thrown by Danny Evelyn, a 2-base hit.
Fastball meant to be away, inner half. Ripped down the line.
So the Phillies have their 11th hit, 2 for Rollins tonight. Now Chase Utley is 1 for 3, single to center his last time up in the 6th. Rollins now with 478 doubles as he continues to extend his all-time Phillies mark. Taken outside, ball 1. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Well, guys, pretty good job there by Travis d'Arnaud, just keeping that ball in front of him. And listen, we all know that d'Arnaud has looked a lot better and a lot more like the guy that the Mets thought they were getting at the plate. But behind the plate, let's be honest, certainly some things that he needs to work on in his defensive game. Now, one of the things that Bob Guerin and he have kind of pinpointed, and it sounds pretty obvious as a catcher, but he's got to work on catching the baseball. 12 pass balls this year for Travis d'Arnaud. That's tied for most in the majors as we see Utley pop out there for the Phillies. So 12 pass balls. It's something that they've been working on with Travis d'Arnaud. And the biggest thing that they think Travis is doing is he's trying too hard to frame up pitches. And I know you guys have spoken about that a lot throughout the broadcasts over the last month or so. So the way that they've tried to help d'Arnaud with that is to implement a system. And it's pretty simple. If there's no runners on base, you're allowed to try and frame up as many pitches as you want, because the worst that happens is the ball goes to the wall. But when runners are on base, Travis d'Arnaud is not to attempt to frame up any pitches. You saw it last night. He was moving with DeGrom's pitches a little bit more than usual, and it's actually seemed to help here over the last 2.5 weeks or so. First 14 games after the All-Star break, 5 pass balls for Travis d'Arnaud. Last 18 games, just 1. So a bit of an improvement there.
Well, I agree. If the runners are on base and you're getting the pass balls, then you haven't perfected which he's very good at getting that call. But if you can't afford men on base to have that many pass balls from a catcher.
Oh, and 2 to Ryan Howard. Well, of course, when you're framing the ball, you are attempting to catch the ball with a smaller opening in your glove, especially on that low pitch. You're trying to keep the glove pointed down so that the umpire gets the illusion of a strike where there is none, and you know your margin for error is smaller. And that addresses part of what has plagued him as Howard strikes out for the second out. But the other piece is that Travis has also had a hard time preventing wild pitches. And,
right.
You know, getting down on balls in the dirt. And that's a whole separate issue.
Late in the game, too. He's had some mental lapses.
Is that what you would say? It's mental
maybe it's why I can't think of anything else. Catcher knows what's coming and can anticipate. And should anticipate.
Marlon Byrd getting the intentional walk.
And guys, just on that is something that d'Arnaud definitely does need to get better at. But the thing they're trying to work on, again, you talk about the mental game. Whenever d'Arnaud puts down a sign for a breaking ball, Bob Guerin wants him to assume that the ball will be in the dirt and react to it that way, as opposed to the other way around, reacting, not assuming that the ball is going to be in the dirt, and then trying to make the quick reaction at the end.
Well, I would think Steve, that you would always be in anticipation, because you can't presume or assume that a pitcher is going to make a pitch where he wants it. It could be a fastball and you want it on the inside corner and you can miss on the outside corner, or vice versa. So I think in every pitch a catcher has to be prepared for something completely out of the norm.
Well, in his defense, just one little piece. They've got one guy in particular in Familia who has a tendency to spike fastballs in the dirt, and I don't think a catcher can anticipate that.
Familia throwing so hard too with the hard breaking ball makes it very difficult.
Dominic Brown takes a strike, and not to pile on, but the other piece for d'Arnaud, of course, he's got to work on his throwing, which has certainly not been up to the standard that they would like.
And I know we're kind of beating up on him a little bit here. I've been very happy with his play behind the plate. I like the game he calls. Everything else is, to me, it's important that a catcher calls a good game, an intelligent game. Gary Carter did. Travis calls a nice game. He's every bit as reason why this club the pitching has been pitching well. He calls an aggressive game. All the other stuff is mechanics, fundamentals, those things you can work on and improve.
1-2 to Dominic Brown, who had a pop fly single fall in for a base hit to drive in a run in the 6th. Carlos Ruiz waiting on deck. Evelyn trying to fight his way through this top of the 7th. Couldn't get Brown to bite at the slider. 2-2. Bartolo Colon went 5 1/3, was charged with 6 runs and 9 hits. Buddy Carlisle got the final 2 outs in the 6th, and now Evelyn trying to negotiate the 7th. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Brown. Got him with a breaking ball. So Evelyn fights his way through the top of the 7th with a couple of strikeouts. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. That's down 6-0. Phillies so far this year, winning 12-17. These teams will finish up their head-to-head meetings tomorrow afternoon. Mets have outscored the Phillies by nearly 2 runs per game this year, but not tonight. Phillies have a 6-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Mets have had just 1 hit against journeyman Jerome Williams. Lucas Duda's 0 for 2, and he fouls off the first pitch fastball. The only hit for the Mets was an opposite field single off the bat of Matt Dendecker in the 2nd inning. Jerome Williams grew up in Hawaii, but he's got connections to New York. Both of his parents were born and raised in the city and moved out to Hawaii to look for a better life. And Jerome was born and raised in Honolulu. First round pick by the Giants out of high school in 1999, and in the ensuing 15 years baseball has taken him just about everywhere. 2-1 now to Duda. Jerome was let go by the Rangers 3 weeks ago, and he figured that his season was over. He was out rafting with his son when he got a call that it was time to call the Phillies, that they might be interested in picking him up.
It was his wife that called it, wasn't it?
Got off the raft, got into the rotation, and this is his 4th straight terrific start. Duda lines one to center. Revere coming on. He'll have to play it on the hop. Well, Duda broke his back, but he has the Mets' 2nd hit of the night.
The Mets have been trying to pull the ball, the left-hand hitters, and Lucas gets a sinker and pulls and breaks his bat, but gets a base hit. All those right-hand sinker ballers, when they're 3-1, 2-0, they go to their bread and butter. They're going to give you that sinker down and away. And boy, it just has left center field gap written all over it.
Here's d'Arnaud. Travis is 0 for 2 tonight. He's had some big games against the Phillies this year, the team that originally drafted him. Phillies traded d'Arnaud to Toronto in the Roy Halladay deal. Came to the Mets in the R.A. Dickey trade. So he has the distinction of having been traded for 2 Cy Young Award winners before ever getting to the major league.
That's right. I'm going to keep an eye on d'Arnaud's plate coverage on the outside corner here, Gary. Something maybe you want to pass on to Ronnie in Miami.
Daisuke Matsuzaka up in the Mets bullpen.
It's off the end of the bat.
Bird settles under it. And that's the first out of the inning. Duda will stay at first.
Too much towards the end of the bat right there.
Now, when he first came back to the Mets, it was clear that he had moved a little bit closer to the plate.
Did you notice his stride too? I mean, we can see that freeze frame again. I don't know if that guy's going to get it up there, but he is going directly into the pitch. His purpose was to go to the opposite field, and he's not getting the barrel of the bat. When you're looking away, and you're looking to go to the opposite field, and you get an outside corner pitch, that should be where the fat of your bat is. See, he's towards the end of the bat. And look at his stride. He's striding towards to the right of the pitcher, so he's going right in. He's not pulling off, and the bat's not there.
So what does he need to do?
Maybe get a little teensy weensy bit closer. He also dropped his back foot, if you notice, too. And I always felt, Gary, that I could cover the outside corner, even if it was knees and black. I'm a right-hand pitcher where I stood in the plate. That was foremost in my mind when I made my choice. And you see Lamar having a chat. When I made my choice where I stood, how far off the plate off right-handers. Number one, I stood very close when I was younger. Then they started throwing me that little cutter and that slider in a big league level. I had to move off the plate. And when I moved off the plate, I was very conscious of I'm not going to give up the outside corner. That's my strength. It makes sense to you?
Yeah. What I'm wondering is, has Darno moved a little further off the plate recently?
I don't know.
Compared to where he was when he first came back from Vegas?
I like it when he drives the ball the other way. He certainly went dead central in Dodger Stadium and right center field over that in Oakland.
Yep. 2-2 to Dendecker, is 1 for 2 tonight. And Matt flares one into right center. That'll fall for a base hit. Duda playing safety first, pulls it at second, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Dendecker with his second hit of the night.
Coming in. He got it in. He just good little cutter, turned on it, short stroke.
So the Mets get a runner to second base for the first time tonight. Justin DeFreitas, the right-hander, Antonio Bastardo, the left-hander, up in the Phillies bullpen. Bob McClure, the pitching coach, coming out to the mound. Dilson Herrera will be coming up for New York. The Mets offense at home in August has been almost non-existent, and part of the reason, big part of the reason, why the Mets are only 5-10 at Citi Field this month. 2.3 runs per game. It's awfully hard to win that way. Mets have gone in fits and starts at Citi Field this year. Didn't hit it all early. Middle of the season, they had a nice run at home where they were racking up some big numbers, but lately nothing. And so much of that has to do with the fact that the two guys who were supposed to be your 2 big bats in the lineup, Granderson and Wright, are giving you absolutely nothing right now.
Well, they've had really unproductive second half, that's for sure.
So now Herrera, who had his first major league time-reaching base in his last plate appearance, now looks for his first big league hit and takes a strike. Dilson flied out to right, then drew a walk in the 5th. Duda at second, Dendecker at first, and 1 out. Williams about to throw his 98th pitch, and Herrera hits it through the hole, a base hit. Duda to third, he'll be held up there. Dilson Herrera with his first major league hit to load him up.
He stays in. Congratulations. Big moment. There goes the ball. Everybody's going to play games with him. Bat boy's got it. Nope.
Bob Guerin has it for safekeeping. So Dilson Herrera in his 5th official at bat. They'll send it off to the authenticator for him to mark it. And Herrera with reason to smile.
Nice. Hangs in there on this fastball. I like the way he stays in. I like his swing.
That's going to be the last pitch Jerome Williams throws tonight. Ryan Sandberg comes out to make the pitching change. Justin DeFreitas will be coming in. The call to the bullpen is brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. Mets have loaded him up on 3 hits. We'll be right back. Today at your local Volvo dealership and experience the wonder of summer. Jerome Williams out after 6 in the 3rd innings. Gave up 3 hits here in the 7th. Leaves with the 6-0 lead. Justin DeFreitas in for the 2nd straight night.
Well, DeFreitas was the guy that served the fly ball to left field that was dropped by Grady Sizemore that wound up with the 3 unearned runs. He pitched out of that jam.
Came in last night with the bases loaded. Comes in tonight with the bases loaded. Duda at 3rd, Dendecker at 2nd, Herrera at 1st, Wilmer Flores the batter. Flores has a grand slam this year. It came against the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. And it takes a strike. It came against Philippe Aumont. One of 3 grand slams the Mets have hit this year. Kirk Neuenhuis out on deck to bat for the pitcher. 0-1 to Flores. And Wilmer has an ugly cut of the fastball, and it's 0-2.
Well, this is something I haven't seen from DeFreitas. He likes to throw his slider. 2 straight fastballs. Fastball in, and then a fastball away.
Neuenhuis to follow. Flores quickly in an 0-2 hole. And he lays off the slider, 1-2. Jerome Williams threw 98 pitches over 6 in the 3rd. 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. As yet, no runs, but responsible for all 3 on base. And no matter what transpires from here, Williams, for the 4th straight start, giving the Phillies more than they had any right to expect when they picked him up. One-two from DeFreitas to Flores. Hits it to the right side. Past Utley, a base hit. Duda's in to score. Everybody else moves up a base, and the Mets are on the board. Flores hit it just hard enough to get it past Utley. An RBI single for Flores cuts the Philly lead to 6-1.
Nice hitting. Fastball away, and a good fastball away, and he's going that way. And I got to think that maybe 5 years ago, Utley gets to that ball. Nice hitting.
So the Mets have put together 4 hits to play a run here in the 7th. Now it's Neuenhuis to pinch hit. And Kirk rounds one foul.
Boy, Kirk hasn't played in a while, has he?
He mostly uses a pinch hitter, and he's been very successful doing that. 8 for 23. His last pinch hitting appearance Thursday night, he drew a walk against the Braves. Then Decker, Herrera, and Flores, the base runners with 1 out. A run home here in the 7th. Neuenhuis fouls it back, and so just like Flores, he's behind on the count 0-2. While Magaris waiting on deck. Phillies in the outfield playing very shallow and toward left against Neuenhuis like he's a pitcher.
That's why the Mets have been station to station here in all these hits. They've been shallow the whole inning, Gary, against everybody. Dendecker, Herrera, and Flores.
But Neuenhuis is a guy who you figure can drive the ball.
I agree.
More than those others.
You got a big lead. I think you would move him back. Those are huge gaps right there. They're not going to get to him.
Right center field is just begging for a triple.
They're too shallow to cut off left center field.
1-2 to Neuenhuis. And he lays off the slider. 2-2. Mets have done a nice job laying off DeFreitas' best pitch. Bases loaded, 1 out. 2-2 to Neuenhuis. And he goes down on the slider for the 2nd out.
Well, big strikeout there, and that's kind of a helpless feeling for Jerome Williams to sit there and hope that his reliever can bail him out here.
So now it's DeFreitas against Lagares again. And again, it's with the bases loaded and 2 out, just like last night. Of course, last night the game was tied. Here the Mets are down by 5 runs. DeFreitas got Lagares to hit a routine fly ball to left that Grady Sizemore dropped. Lagares tonight 0 for 3, 1 for 7 in the series. Too high for ball 1. Bastardo, the left-hander, continues to work in the bullpen with Granderson due up next. Lagares over 300 with runners in scoring position. 41 runs batted in this year. Bases loaded, 2 out. And the fastball away, and DeFreitas, who doesn't walk many, falls behind in the count 2-0. It was on a 2-0 pitch last night that Lagares hit that pop-up.
Now, a veteran hitter could look middle in and try to hit a home run here and get your club 1 run down, but I don't want Juan to do that right now at this stage of his career. I want him to go right up the middle, just keep the hit parade going.
Instead, DeFreitas misses outside with the fastball. Now he's put himself in big trouble. A walk would not only force in a run, it would bring the tying run to bat, with Granderson on his bobblehead night set to bat next. You have to figure Lagares is going to take a pitch here.
And it goes to the backstop for ball 4. That forces in a run. Dendecker comes in to score. It's now 6-2, and Granderson will come to the plate as the tying run.
They got Bastardo already out there in that bullpen. I can't imagine that Ryan Sandberg would let DeFreitas pitch. And here he comes, because that's very bad to walk someone on 4 pitches with a 5-run lead.
DeFreitas had walked only 9 batters all season, but he didn't come close on 3-0. And now Granderson could tie it with 1 swing, and he'll have to face the left-hander Bastardo as DeFreitas will take his exit. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. Mets trying to rally in the 7th. We'll be right back.
Appearance for Bastardo. Over the top, straight fastball slider pitcher. You see against left-handers, very effective, actually against everybody. It's hard to believe with that batting average that he has an ERA over 4.39 at 4.39.
Well, Justin DeFreitas faced 3 batters, gave up a run-scoring hit to Flores and a bases-loaded walk to Lagares, and that gets Granderson to the plate as the tying run. Curtis has 5 grand slams in his career, the most recent one in 2012 against Mark Melancon. It is Curtis Granderson bobblehead night. He's already made a terrific play in the outfield, but he's gone 0 for 3 at the plate, and now has a chance to do some damage against Bastardo. Worth noting that 6 of Curtis's 16 home runs this year have come against left-handed pitchers.
And Curtis has hit left-handers better, 237 as opposed to 208 against right-handers.
4 hits and a walk in the inning. There's the bobblehead, just coiled and ready to go. There's the actual man, coiled and ready to go. Well, the Phillies have already had an inning in this game in which they put together 7 hits to score 5 runs. Now the Mets trying to put together a similar inning here in the bottom of the 7th. It was 6-0. Now it's 6-2. And Granderson will weigh in with Herrera at third following his first big league hit. Flores at second, and Lagares, who just drove in his 42nd run of the year with a walk, at first. Granderson is lined out to second, grounded out to first, and flied out to left tonight. 0 for 3 in the game, 0 for 7 in this series.
And Gary, once again, look at that outfield defense. My goodness, are they shallow. Particularly Brown and Span.
They put on the overshift in the infield. 3 infielders on the right side. Granderson takes a fastball for a strike. I think he said Span. I'm sure.
Yeah, I meant Rivera. I got him confused.
National League East, former Minnesota Twins center field.
Yes, exactly.
Granderson, the 8th man up in the inning. David Wright on deck. And Granderson bounces one foul, and 3rd time in the last 4 batters that Matt Hitter has fallen behind 0-2. Flores recovered to get a base hit. Neuenhuis did not. Wright would be next. Granderson 1 for 3 in his career against Bastardo.
Bastardo seems to be throwing a little bit harder here. It's a little more urgency in this appearance. He came up more than 3 years ago. He was a flamethrower.
He has had 2 appearances this year where he's worked 2 innings and struck at every batter. Did that just a couple of weeks ago. Granderson trying to fight out of an 0-2 hole as the fans do the wave. He fouls away that fastball. To Granderson. And he goes down on the slider to end the inning. Mets settle for 2 runs. Bastardo strikes out Granderson with the bases loaded to keep the Phillies in front 6-2. Today's best new game show, it's the Celebrity Name Game with Craig Ferguson. And it premieres September 22nd right here on PIX 11. We go to the 8th inning. Phillies 6, Mets 2. Kirk Neuenhuis stays in the game in right field after pinch hitting, and Daisuke Matsuzaka will pitch at the top of the 8th.
Well, Daisuke's coming off the DL, did not have a great outing. Gave up the 3-run home run. It's a 3-run shot right here. Kind of opened the
2-run home to Domet, then he gave up another run. But it was a bad outing for Daisuke. His first one back from the disabled list after he sat out with an elbow problem for about a month. So Vic black spot on the active roster when Vic went on the DL with some neck issues, herniated disc. Carlos Ruiz will lead off with the Phillies in the top of the 8th. Colon went 5 1/3, allowed 6 runs, 9 hits, 5 of those coming in the 6th inning. Buddy Carlisle 2/3 of an inning, no runs, 1 hit. Dana Eveland pitched the 7th, no runs, 1 hit, and now it's Daisuke in the 8th. By the way, the other night we ran the clock on hitters stepping out of the batter's box and taking extra time. One of these nights we're going to do the same for the pitchers. Maybe on a night when Daisuke pitches. Ruiz is 1 for 3, drove in a run with a base hit his last time up, and he takes a curveball for a strike. And Daisuke in his first outing back from the DL on Thursday night threw almost all breaking balls.
Well, he likes his breaking ball here. He also threw one that gives the home run. That was a hanging breaking ball.
There's a fastball fouled off. And he's ahead on Ruiz 0-2. Cody Ashe on deck, then the pitcher's spot for the Phillies in the 8th. So we were talking about Jorge Soler of the Cubs, 3 home runs in the first 3 games, and he had an RBI double tonight. First player since the RBI became an official stat to have an extra base hit and an RBI in each of his first 4 major league games.
Wow.
First. That's since 1920. Ruiz gets a hanging breaking ball and rips it down the line, and he's got himself another hit. And he cruises into second with his 22nd double of the year. So Daisuke gets hurt on the breaking ball again.
Well, this is what the general manager for the Cubs was doing. As far as he was basically telling Cub fans, we're going to build from the minor league system, and they had some players down there with had offense, and they're coming up and they've been terrific.
Well, in an era where every team is now looking for hitting, I mean 10 years ago everybody was looking for pitching. Now everybody's looking for bats, and the Cubs have a wealth of them. Here's Ashe, who's 3 for 3 tonight, 2 singles, a double. He's driven in a run, and he takes a curveball for a strike. And there's more to come there. I mean, Chris Bryant, who's hit over 40 home runs in the minor leagues, isn't even in the big leagues yet for Chicago.
So all those Cub fans now watch their ticket sales.
Well,
I'll give them a sniff of this.
They sell pretty well anyway. Usually it's their ballpark that's the selling point. Now it's a whole wealth of offense on the horizon. Of course, it's been a rather long drought for Cub fans. Only 106 years since their last World Championship, and 69 years since their last World Series appearance. So they're due. Ashe out on 3 pitches. So Daisuke has his first out here in the top of the 8th. First time Ashe's been retired tonight. Now Grady Sizemore will come up to pinch hit.
High fastball.
Here's Sizemore, who started last night in left field, committed an error and reached base twice on errors.
That's right. Yes.
And went 1 for 4. I read something very interesting today, and it's about the Phillies and ties into Sizemore last night. The The Phillies have committed the second fewest errors of any team in the National League. Only 69 errors coming into today. And yet, they've given up the most unearned runs this year of any team in the National League. 60 unearned runs. What does that tell you?
They're making errors at the wrong time.
Or their pitchers are not handling the adversity particularly well when an error is committed.
Well, last night was the wrong time for this. This was going to be the third out in the inning here. Should be in the dugout, and boom.
And Sizemore made no excuses. He said, look, I just dropped it. I had it all the way, and I just dropped it. I mean, he's a two-time Gold Glove outfielder. Takes it wide. 2-1. Sizemore's had great numbers against Matsuzaka. There you see the unearned runs allowed, despite the fact that they've committed so few errors. It's very odd.
Yes, it is. Doesn't make sense.
Go back to 1999. Remember when they had that Sports Illustrated cover of the Mets, the best infield ever, with Olerud and Alonso and Ordonez and Ventura. The Mets that year gave up 20 unearned runs the entire season. 20. It's an absurdly low number. Three and one to Sizemore. Sizemore 4 for 8 with a home run against Matsuzaka. Ruiz at second and 1 out. 3-2 coming to Sizemore, and the breaking ball outside for ball 4. So Sizemore is on. First unintentional walk allowed by a Met pitcher tonight. And now Ben Revere will come up with 2 men on. Revere has his 150th hit of the year tonight. Still looking for his 40th stolen base of the year.
That's right.
Ken Giles up in the Phillies bullpen. He has been a revelation for them. Throwing 100 miles an hour. Revere got the 5-run 6th inning started for the Phillies with a base hit, and he takes a curveball off the plate for ball 1. Ruiz at second, Sizemore at first and 1 out. And Revere takes it foul, 1-1. Well, the Nationals won last night in Seattle, hitting 6 home runs. Braves beat the Marlins last night, but Miami so far tonight with a 4-0 lead on Atlanta. Nats will have Strasburg on the mound tonight in Seattle. Mets with a win last night moved a game and a half in front of the Phillies to stay out of the cellar in the National League East.
And it's of importance for both these ball clubs. You've got a Philly ball club over there that's been in last place most of the year, and no one wants to finish in last place. Trust me.
Inside Revere, 3-1. I mean, at the end of the day, does it matter if you finish 4th or 5th?
It doesn't matter, but you don't want to finish in last place. I remember one year, this is a funny story. Old man Bush, we had a bad year. We were in last place with 5 weeks left in the season. It was 76, I believe, with Reds last year. The only time we ever saw Augie Bush was with the beginning of the season and at the Mets welcome home dinner, and we never saw him. The only time he ever came in our clubhouse and won the World Series in '82, of course. But 5 weeks left in the season, we're in last place behind the Mets, and he came in and had a big meeting with that gravelly voice, and he goes, "You guys are behind the Mets. The Mets." I went, "Oh no." That might have been '78. I'm sorry. And
double play ball. Herrera to Flores, and the Mets turn the double play to get Daisuke through the inning.
So to make a long story short, guess what? We eked out the Mets for 5th place or 4th place, whatever. Mets finished last.
Somebody may need a clubhouse talking to. In 2 weeks when the Mets take on the Nationals. That's Saturday, September 13th on New York's PIX 11. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Phillies 6, Mets 2, and the fireballing right-hander Ken Giles will come on to pitch the bottom of the 8th for Philadelphia.
Well, he's one of the bright spots in this Philly bullpen, and those numbers are pretty incredible. The strikeouts to innings pitched and the walks. Lefties have more difficulty than right-handers. He's a flamethrower, folks.
You're saying we should prepare the Cholula?
The kids are having fun.
I like the hat. There's nothing like ice cream in a helmet, and especially if you share with Dad.
And large families.
You ever have ice cream in a helmet?
No.
It just adds so much flavor. She's so nice. Look what she's sharing with everybody.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Oh.
You should always share. 3, 4, and 5 in the Mets batting order in the home 8th. Wright, Duda, and Darno against Giles, the 4th Philadelphia pitcher of the night. Wright has walked twice and struck out 0 for 1, and takes a slider for a strike. Seen David bail out a lot against breaking balls. Got to be contributing to his problem.
Oh, it is. There's Cholula.
Have you tried the green pepper sauce? It's outstanding.
We had one. Didn't we have that together?
We were out in center field.
Yeah, it's delicious.
We had it with the taco.
Right. It's wonderful.
It's a perfect blend of jalapeno and poblano.
I have all their brands, all their flavors in my kitchen.
Lined up, just like your markers?
Yes.
I can see it. I mean, having not actually seen the lineup of your Cholula bottles in the kitchen, I can picture it just like your highlighters sitting on the desk.
I have a little cubby hole and they just fit in there. They're like a marching brigade. They're in perfect line.
You've got such military precision. 1-2 coming to right, and it's just off the inside corner. 2-2. It's like a phalanx.
Well, they were always single line, those phalanxes. They had to be anchored on natural boundaries. They had no protection on their flanks. This Cholula has flank protection.
Well, like the salt and pepper shakers. Wright is out on the high fastball at 98 miles an hour. So Giles fans the first man to face him. And David's troubles continue.
Fastball thrown by him. It's tardy.
Now 4 for his last 38. And still just 2 extra base hits since the All-Star break. He covers 38 games.
Yep.
Here's Duda, 1 for 3. He got the Mets 2-run 7th started with a broken bat single to center. Just his second hit in 18 at bats on this homestand. And the Phillies put on the full shift against Lucas again. Duda hits the fastball well to left, but Brown should have room. And that's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Travis d'Arnaud. D'Arnaud's at a bloop to second and flied out twice. 0 for 3 on the night. D'Arnaud hits one off the end of the bat, sinking fast, but back goes Rollins to get it, and that retires the side. So Giles sets the Mets down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th, 6-2 Phillies. Rest on 6th Avenue since the game began. Nice foot traffic.
Yep.
Honda stand still open. Video recap brought to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda.
Well, Rivera got it started. Notice all the fastballs away. Changeup. That's the only pitch inside he got hurt on. That's another away. So Bartolo on the outside corner, they got after him.
7 hits for the Phillies in that 5-run 6th inning. And that has the Phillies in front 6-2 as we go to the 9th. Daisuke Matsuzaka, who worked a scoreless 8th, working around a double and a walk, will pitch the 9th as well. Jimmy Rollins will lead off against him. Rollins 2 for 4 tonight, a single and a double, and he might have had more had not Curtis Granderson robbed him of an extra base hit with a leaping catch at the fence in the 4th. Rollins, Utley, and Howard for the Phillies in the 9th inning. So here are the Phillies with all these veteran players still playing every day late into the season. And we started to talk about Howard earlier tonight, who will have a turn at bat here in the 9th inning. Ryan Howard famously was signed to a 5-year, $125 million contract. Then he blew out his Achilles at the end of the 2011 season. And he really has not been the same player since. And in July, Ryan Sandberg sat him down for 3 games and looked like he was going to have his playing time diminished, that he might be a platoon player for the second half of the season. Well, there's a story in the Philadelphia Inquirer today by Matt Gelb, who's covered the Phillies for quite some time. And the assertion in the article is that Phillies management directed Sandberg to relent and to play Howard every day, figuring that if they built up Howard's numbers enough that some American League team might be interested in trading for him in the offseason to be their DH next year. Keep in mind that Howard is owed $60 million for the next 2 seasons. So the question is that strategy going to pay off for the Phillies? Is some team in the American League going to look at Howard, who's, you know, 3rd in the National League in RBIs, and say this is going to be a productive player for us the next 2 years for $60 million?
Or there could be a cash consideration too, something that the Phillies could pick up part of it. He's going to drive in over 90. You got 81 is right now, and you got 19 home runs. Going to hit 20 plus, drive in 90 runs.
I guess the flip side of that is, would the Phillies have been better off playing Darren Ruff or calling up their prospect Maikel Franco and plugging him into first base and seeing what their future might be like? Or are they better off doing what they're doing and playing Howard every day?
Well, you know that
to Rollins.
Ruben Amaro Jr. is under enormous pressure right now. He is not the most popular guy in Philadelphia, so don't think that he's not feeling the heat. And he's looking to get rid of these older players. And there was no takers. I remember the word around near the deadline was that he was asking the moon for his players.
Right. As opposed to trying to, you know, dispose of some veterans and get younger. But the problem is, you know, do the Phillies have the needed replacements for those guys if indeed they cut bait with guys like Howard and Rollins and Utley? And Rollins runs first pitch and steals a base without a throw. His 28th stolen base of the year. Well, the Phillies won 5 straight division titles from 2007 to 2011, but after finishing 500 2 years ago, they had a losing season last year.
Yep.
And they'll have another one this year.
Those seasons, you can't. It's a nice run that they had, but the players have aged.
You know, right before he passed away, Frank Cashin wrote a book, and in that book he put out his tenets for being a successful general manager, and number 1 on his list was don't let your team get old together at the same time. And that's what's happened with the Phillies. They've all gotten old together. Check swing, and he went around 1-2 to Utley. Phillies the 2nd oldest team by average age in the National League. But when you look at their everyday players, you know, you're talking about Rollins, who's 35, and Utley, who's 35, and Howard, who's 34, and Bird, who's 37, Ruiz, who's 35. That's the core of that team, all 34 or older. One and 2 to Utley. And he slaps one to short. Rollins will take third. Flores throws out Utley, and that's the first out of the inning. It's a dilemma. It really is, because all the comments from Philadelphia upper management, I'm talking about above Ruben Amaro, have been, hey, we like our team. We think they should be productive. We need to keep the fans coming out. They love these players.
Well, and where's ownership on this too? I believe was behind. Wanted to keep very popular.
Right.
Rollins, Utley, and Howard were enormously popular, and all of a sudden they get old together, and you get rid of 3 of your core players, and you better have someone coming up behind them that's going to be the replacement. So, you know, it's
infield in for Ryan Howard.
if you make the trades and they move on and have good seasons, they're going to, you know, you're going to get hammered. It's tough. It's a tough choice. It's tough to pull the trigger.
You know, you referenced the Cubs earlier and the commitment that they've made to, you know, going with the youth that's coming up through their farm system. And of course, Jed Hoyer's their GM, but Theo Epstein's the president and you know, the big boss there. And Theo built the championship teams in Boston. And the one thing that he always said during his tenure with the Red Sox is that you can't be sentimental as a general manager. You've got to be ruthless in terms of letting players go when you feel as though their productivity has begun to decline. You'd rather trade a guy a year early than a year late. That's an old saying in baseball.
And I read an article, Gare, and you can see the decline about the Cubs. When the last ownership was the Tribune, and they built their whole PR campaign around Wrigley Field, as that's the venue. To come in not to watch a winning team was the emphasis on Wrigley Field. Now the new ownership, according to this article,
Howard lifts this one to deep left. This will get a run in. Then Decker goes back to get it. Rollins will tag and score, and that makes it 7-2 Philadelphia. Third RBI of the night for Howard. His 84th of the year.
New ownership for the Cubs has been 100% behind Theo Epstein in rebuilding and telling Cubs that, hey, we are in a rebuilding process. It's going to take time. And as a result, their attendance has been down.
But they still draw awfully well.
Yes.
I think the Cubs are a unique situation because of Wrigley Field, because over the last 20-30 years it's become so much of a destination in and of itself. And you know, the Phillies have had great attendance for a long time because of all the success they've had, but I don't think Citizens Bank Park itself is going to draw fans the way Wrigley Field does, and that's why they feel they have to, you know, maintain this older team. But at some point, what do you do? I mean, these players are not going to win games for you at this point in their careers, at least not keeping all of them aging at the same time.
And the new ownership can change gears at Wrigley Field because they've already established Wrigley Field as a monument, really.
And they can survive whatever down period it's taken, and it has been down for the Cubs, but certainly the signs are pointing to them being able to you know, spend some money, make some trades to get some pitching, and turn that thing around quickly.
That second game of that doubleheader is 1-1 in the fifth. That's St. Louis and the Cubs. There you go. That's a Cardinals got to win that game. They're kind of floundering.
They've lost 4 in a row. 1-2 coming to Bird. Yeah, it's taken high.
I thought everybody when the season started, Gary, took a step back in that Central.
Well, you've said all along you thought the Pirates were going to be the team, and they are making their push now. They won their 4th straight today, and if the Cardinals lose that second game, they'll be tied with the Pirates for that second wild card spot and second place behind Milwaukee.
So when it comes down to this, when it's okay, we've got the 3 divisions now, so now there's 6 races, plus you got the wild card. The teams that make it, if they're all bunched together, it's all about September. Who's going to come to the forefront? What team's going to get hot? Who's going to carry that team? Whether it be a pitcher or a hitter.
Two from Daisuke, and Bird goes down on the high fastball to end the inning. Second strikeout for Matsuzaka. Phillies got a run without a hit and leads 7-2 going to the bottom of the ninth. Pix 11 News. Coming up next on SNY, it'll be WB Mason post-game live. All the interviews, all the highlights, all the baseball you need to know. Jonathan Papelbon comes on in a non-save situation for the Phillies.
Well, another terrific year. That's going to be an awesome Stratomatic card.
I'm sure that's what he's thinking, too.
Yes, right. He hasn't pitched in 4 days. That's why he's in here on a non-save situation.
Matt Dendecker will lead off for the Mets in the last of the ninth. Dendecker's 2 for 3 tonight and scored a run. The Mets 2-run seventh. Mets were down 6-0. Got the tying run to the plate in the seventh. But Curtis Granderson struck out with the bases loaded, and that may be the Mets' only chance tonight. If the Mets do not win this game, it means the most games they could possibly win this year would be 89. Dendecker takes inside, a ball and a strike. Dilson Herrera on deck, and then Wilmer Flores for the Mets in the last of the ninth. Papelbon in his third year with the Phillies after a distinguished career with the Red Sox, now 33 years old. And he misses with the splitter. 2 balls and a strike. Jerome Williams started this game for the Phillies. His 4th start for Philadelphia. It'll be his 3rd win if the Phillies hang on. Dendecker takes a strike, and it's 2-2. Justin DeFreitas got an out. So did Antonio Bastardo. Ken Giles worked a 1-2-3-8, and now Papelbon in the ninth. Dendecker fouls off the fastball. Still 2-2. Tomorrow, Dylan G for the Mets. And a suddenly resurgent A.J. Burnett for the Phillies. Burnett, who has been languishing for months, pitched a gem his last time out, striking out 12. And the Phillies hope there's more to come from their veteran right-hander. Slapped down to third. Ashe playing imperfectly. Goes out Dendecker, 1 away. And there are the starters tomorrow.
Old Dylan coming off a good outing. Since coming off the DL, it's been tough for him.
His first win after 5 straight losses in his last start against the Braves, pitching into the 7th inning. And there's Burnett, who said he found something with his mechanics, with his leg kick that turned everything around in his last start. And we'll see if he can duplicate that again tomorrow. Dilson Herrera, last time up, had his first major league hit. He singled through the hole and left, so he's got a baseball for his mantelpiece, if nothing else, tonight. 1 for 2 and a walk. 20-year-old in his 2nd big league game. Now facing Papelbon, and he takes a slider for a strike. 0-2.
So as a young man, 20 years old, and you're facing one of the best closers in the game for the first time, you know, it's daunting. I like his swing. I like the way he stays in.
Wilmer Flores waits on deck. Well, Herrera's going to get plenty of chance to play with Daniel Murphy out with the calf injury. Don't know how long Murph's going to be out. Could be a substantial part of September. And it gives the Mets a chance to see what they have in Herrera, who's making that jump from Double-A, which is something the Mets have not had their young players do very often in recent years.
It's rare.
1-2 coming from Papelbon, and strike 3 called on the outside corner gets Herrera for the 2nd out.
Well, up and in fastball, moved him off, painted him away. A little bit too close to take when you're a rookie, and it's 7-2 in the 9th. You're not going to get that call.
So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Wilmer Flores drove in the first Met run with a single into right his last time up. 2 for 5 now in this series, and he takes low and in from Papelbon. Kirk Neuenhuis is sitting 9th in the order. He's on deck. should Flores keep it going. To an 0 to Wilmer. Final in Atlanta, the Marlins shut out the Braves 4-0. Jared Cozart went 7 scoreless for the win for Miami. He's been a nice addition. Here's a strike, 2-1. Mets will be in Miami starting on Monday, and they'll face Henderson Alvarez on Monday night. Alvarez against Zach Wheeler, who pitched the best game of his life in Miami earlier this year. A 1-0 shutout. 2-2 now to Flores. That's a Monday afternoon Labor Day game at Marlins Park. So the Mets are down to their final strike. Flores feeling Papelbon was rushing him. Two. Breaking ball down to third. Ashe handles it, and that'll do it. Papelbon with a 1-2-3 ninth inning, and the Phillies even up the series at a game apiece. A 5-run 6th inning against Bartolo Colon. Plenty for the Phillies tonight as they beat the Mets 7-2.
Well, that big 5-run 5th did Bartolo in. It was a 1-0 ball game. Marlon Byrd's 25th home run of the year to right center field on his 37th birthday. Got the Phillies on the board, but all of a sudden the roof just caved in on Bartolo. Gave up 4 consecutive hits in that inning. The Phillies got 7 in that inning in that 5-run 6th.
Game summary brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Jerome Williams now 3-0 in 4 starts as a Philly. He was very good again tonight. And the Phillies putting together 7 hits to score 5 runs in the 6th inning, and they defeat the Mets 7-2 to even the series at a game apiece. 7-2 the final. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.